Hello, we are here on the a16z podcast with the writers and makers of the 5.0 app. With us, I have three awesome American teenagers, and they, unlike most of us, when they watched what was happening in Ferguson, most people like me sat there, read about it, got really upset, got frustrated, and then did nothing. But these kids watched it, saw what was going on, and said, look, we can do something. We're going to build an app that allows citizens to review police officers, and in this way make the whole policing process much more transparent and much more like something that will work well in the future. And so we're very excited to have Caleb, Ima, and Asha here. And we'll get started. So, Ima.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Why? What made you want to build 5.0?
Okay, well, we started developing this app about 6 months ago, and what really made us decide to start developing it was, it was more so a culmination of everything that was going on in the media at the time. And also we had some family members who'd also had some negative interactions with law enforcement, and that's something that had always been on our minds. We talk to our parents often about these issues, and they try to put everything into context for us. And one of the things they really tried to focus and tell us was to focus on finding solutions. And from there, that's how we decided to develop an app. We just drew all of ideas on the whiteboard, and we started thinking about every component that could go into an app like this, and that's how we came up with 5.0.
Wow, and so, Asha, when normally if a family member has a run-in with the police that's negative, that's going to cause more rage than kind of constructive thinking. So how did you get to the point where you said, look, let's take a systematic approach and, try and fix the whole system as opposed to just get mad at a police officer?
Right. So our family, all three of us, we've been working on coding, and we've been involved in tech since we were in middle school, so we've had a little bit of background in that. We also have close family friends who are police officers, so we know for a fact that all of them aren't corrupt, and we don't hate all police officers, and we don't believe that they're all bad. So we think of ourselves as problem solvers, and we use tech as our medium to solve that problem. We just felt like it was a great problem that was going on throughout the community, and instead of becoming mad, like you said, we just felt that it was great for us to channel that into an app and really channel that into determination to get the app out. Great.
So we have a real tech audience here on the A16Z podcast. So Caleb, can you take us through a little bit of how you architected the application, what the components are, what tools you used?
Well, we used a cloud-based SDK program called Apri.io, and some features in the app, we have an incident report where you basically go through and you log what happened and things like that. And then we have, Asha knows a lot of the functions, but we also have a message board where you can post things that you want to go out to your community, and you can also review cops by their badge number and things like that. So yeah.
Right. Well, this is Asha, and on the application we also have features where anyone who lives, well, actually you don't have to live in that community, but anyone can go and search up the reviews that have been made based on county, zip code, and state, and you can look at all the review descriptions, and you can read about the rating that county has, and just basically get an idea of what the interactions with law enforcement within that area have been.
And we also have a function that's GPS. So let's say you're traveling and you don't know where you are and it's the middle of the night, and you could just open up the phone and click it, and you automatically get your address, the address of where you are, and you also see it on a map. So yeah.
Also, we have a Know Your Rights section of the app, and that's for whenever you're in a situation and you're not sure exactly how to handle yourself, or you're dealing with law enforcement and you don't know what steps you can take or what rights you have. We have a Know Your Rights section, so you really just have that information, which is provided from the ACLU, at your fingertips.
Wow, so we have a special guest here. The greatest lyricist of all times, Nas, just walked into the podcast environment. And Nas, what do you think about these kids?
I think these kids are great, and they are coming up with solutions to problems that we don't know what to do. It's like I do also have experiences with police, that weren't so great coming up. So, but then like they say, there's some good cops out there too. I know some policemen who are really good, and I think they should even support this. I think the police should know that this is something that's positive, and this is something that's good for the whole community. It just makes everything better.
So you kids have been out here now in Silicon Valley for a day.
Right.
You had some interesting visits. So, Asha, why don't you tell us about some of the places that you went and what you think?
Well, one of the major places we went to today is Facebook, and we just absolutely loved the environment. It was great, just the way everyone treated us and the way they treated each other, and just it was. There was so much, the energy, the whole vibe at Facebook was just very welcoming and happy, and we just loved it. And I mean, I can see myself in that space.
Yeah.
It's like Facebook for real, not just on the internet.
Yeah. When we went there, we didn't get to see Mark Zuckerberg, but I mean, that wasn't a deal breaker or anything. But we were it was amazing, the whole atmosphere, like what Asha said. And then in my perspective, it was just like everyone seemed very happy, and it seemed like a very nice environment. And when you think about coding, you don't really think about it like how how it looks at Facebook. You think about it like someone slaving away at a computer, but it's not that at all. It really isn't. It's a very fun thing to do, and when you learn it and when you wrap your mind around it, it's a great thing.
Right. It seems as if Facebook is bringing the fun to coding.
Yeah.
It's the environment's very fun. So
now the app has gotten a lot of press attention, and how have you found that? You all are actually quite skilled at dealing with the press, I must say, even not being an actual press person myself, but you have great answers. How did you how long did it take you, how did you go about figuring out how to answer some of these kinds of questions and not have people get you riled up against the police and things like that?
Well, I would say right before our first interview, and Asha and Caleb were both at school, so I had to talk to them on the phone in the car. And but right before the interview, I was we were writing down possible questions. My mom helped me strategize how best to respond to certain questions, and also I guess after the first two interviews, we were getting some of the same questions, so it was easy for us to, we're probably going to hear these questions, so we should probably just make responses that we're all comfortable with and we know exactly, concisely how to answer them. So I guess just practice it first and then planning.
That is pretty awesome. I know executives that aren't that good at that.
I'm taking pointers right now.
Yeah, we're learning. This is good. So where do you think the app can go from here? So you've kind of got it out there. People can report on issues. If you kind of go far into the future, what does what will the world look like when there's the right amount of communication and transparency between police and citizens?
Well, I feel like ultimately 5.0 is definitely an app that we want all people to be able to use. We definitely feel like it's got a utility that any person from any age group can take advantage of. Just giving a voice and bringing customer service to interactions with law enforcement. In terms of the future, we have gotten emails from people in the UK, Brazil, and UK, Brazil, and Canada saying that this app would be useful where they live. So we're definitely, from there, we've been thinking about expanding globally because we feel like there's a global utility to this type of app, and all people really want to be able to take charge of their interactions with law enforcement.
Right, and we know that some countries around the world, they don't have smartphones, so we're also trying to get it that function so that it can work with SMS. And they can submit their interaction reports through text messaging.
So who came up with the name 5.0?
Well, our mom, she was a big fan of the show. She was a big fan of the show Hawaii 5.0, and then when we presented her with the idea, she was like, "Well, why don't we just call it 5.0?" And then that's where that happened.
Right.
So yeah.
But now you're playing a little coy in that you know that 5.0 is also like the street term. the rap term for police.
Yeah, I have seen TV shows where like, here comes the 5-0.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we all just jumped on to that name after,
Yeah, it's
hearing
quirky and
Yeah.
cool. So we were like, oh, it's great.
All right, very good, very good. You're all in high school now. So, and this is really a public service application. This is, one of the great things about it is, you didn't do it to make money, or you didn't do it to, be the next Mark Zuckerberg. You did it to make the world better. So how far do you go with the 5.0 app before, and where do you think life takes you with college and everything in front of you? And how do you see it evolving over time, just with your own time and what you're going to be able to do?
Well, I feel like in terms of, because I'm a senior, so I'm about to go off to college, but we try to split our time when we get home to working on the app, but we definitely feel like, we've had offers from people who say that they're willing to help us on specific portions of the app, people who say, we're willing to help you work on this, and we're willing to offer help on this, and we know that there are people who are a lot more skilled than we are in certain areas that could help us. So we're thinking of expanding the number of people who could help us work on it, like when we go to school and when we go off to college.
Right. We're hoping that the app that we can continue progress with the app, add other people to our group and have them to work on it and rebuild it on the native platforms and change the UI and things like. We have a lot of updates for the application that we can use with the proper funding, and so we just really want to get the app up and running to the highest possible,
a solid product.
Right.
We really want to make it solid.
Yeah, we do have a FundMe for 5.0, so yeah.
Well, go ahead, pitch the FundMe.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to fund us, you can go there.
Yeah,
so
just search 5.0 fund me. Just come up, go fund me.
You hear that? That's 5.0 Fund Me.
Yeah.
And just search for that, and you will be able to help. And we're looking forward to also seeing the open source project of 5.0. You guys can put that on GitHub?
Yeah, we were just told about GitHub yesterday. We didn't really use it before, but we really plan on.
We know those guys if you need any help.
It seems like a very useful
jump
tool.
in. Yeah, so for all you developers out there, look for 5.0 on GitHub, and maybe together we can all make the world a much safer place.
Thanks for listening. This has been the A16Z podcast. Special thanks to the 5.0 team, Ema, Asha, Caleb, and our special guest, Naz. One love.